Thank you guys so much. I have both a joyous and a difficult task tonight because in about 12 or 13 minutes, I'm going to try to share with you where we've come from, where we are now, and where we're going. And that's going to be a challenge for me because my heart is really full. Thank you guys for coming tonight. Let me begin with some thanks. First, I want to thank the Gala team. I say Gala. The Gala team, Ross, to Mike, and Allison Barker, to Hannah Dockel. We couldn't have pulled off tonight without their help. Thank you so much. Thank you to Hunter and Beverly Mills. You guys are amazing. The MJ staff, our board of directors, several of whom are here tonight. Some are out of town, could not make it in. And I'd like to thank most of all, I'd like to thank my amazing family at this table. I've got, I think 7/9 of my family is here tonight, if you can do the math. We have my lovely wife, April. We just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. And you guys got to meet Alex and Gracie that played worship tonight. Timothy and Titus are here. Hey boys, y'all can wave. And soon to be the newest member of the Evans family, Vivian Markham. She will marry my son, Jonathan, in about 3 weeks. So we get a new daughter. I'm super excited. Tonight we are not here to magnify and glorify a ministry. It's not why we're here. We're here to glorify and magnify God. And my job is to tell you what he's done the last 15 years since my brother-in-law Jeff decided to pull a group of us together at church and say, what if we did something for dads? That's how this started. I'm looking at a couple back there, Brad and Jennifer. We started in their living room in Pee Wee Valley. And now we can't count the number of guys. We kind of can. I'll give you a number in a minute. But I want to do 3 things. A lot of you are probably new to our ministry, so I want to do a quick flyover of what we do, share how God has worked. That's kind of thing 1. Second, I want to tell you a story about a specific dad that we've helped. And third, I want to give you a sneak preview to where we're headed next. Don't take a picture of that slide. We may not get to it. But let me start with, what is Manhood Journey? And I want to do this in 2 steps. Step 1 is, why do we do what we do? And I think the easiest way to articulate that is with this slide behind me. If you can see the slide as it's going to build, what you're going to see is not just a snappy graphic. That's not what we're showing you. What we're showing you is data and math about what happens when fathers are involved in their families. This is not me putting random stats on a slide. Every single one of these data points is backed up by science and research and data. And all of us who are believers know there's nothing new under the sun. God said, I want to be known as your Father. When the disciples said, Lord, teach us to pray, what were the first 2 words out of Jesus' mouth? Our Father. Because God wants to be known as a father. So shocker, no surprise, when dads are out of the equation, things go badly. And when dads are in the equation, things go much better. So this is the ripple effect in our homes, in our churches, in our communities, and in our nation. When dads are in on the play, things go well. This is why we do what we do. And that is to animate. I heard a guy recently, Rick Warren, pastor out of California. He said, the first thing I've got to do to help someone come to know the Lord is undo what they've learned about their own earthly father. Because most people don't want to come to a God who looks anything like the dad who raised them. God raised up our ministry to start to remove that barrier. That's what we do. We lower the threshold so that kids will grow up in homes where they don't see God as an absent guy. They don't see God as an angry man. They don't see God as someone who takes stuff from them or manipulates them. Instead, they see a loving father. Why? Because they saw one at home first. For your kids, men, most of you guys in here are men, are dads. For those of you in this room, the most important person to your family does not live in the White House. He lives in your house. And it's you, it's the dad. That's why we do what we do. Now let me tell you briefly, very briefly, how we do it. We do it through a ton of resources. Over the last 15 years, since we started, we've created I don't even know the number, it's hundreds and hundreds of resources. These resources fall into categories. They equip dads and churches. We send some straight to dads, some go to their church and get them through like a group study. They're Bible studies, YouVersion reading plans, digital courses, books, cohorts, podcasts, newsletter, assessment, all available on our website. In fact, interestingly, we have a special love for the country of Ethiopia. 2 of our sons came from the country of Ethiopia. And yesterday, as I was preparing my comments for tonight, I noticed the most recent purchase of our Anger-Free Dad digital course was from a guy named Yosef in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. It's come full circle. Since we last met a couple years ago in this Gala, God's opened a ton of doors. I want to share with you 5 ways he's moved in our ministry so you can get a glimpse of what he's been up to. Number 1, we publish reading plans on the YouVersion Bible app. So if you look at the YouVersion Bible app, 13 of our plans are on that YouVersion Bible app. We recently published one with a partner in Atlanta called Beacon Parent about 3 weeks ago. That went live. And so far we've had more than 600 people start that plan. We're on pace for that one reading plan to reach 5,000 or 10,000 people in the next 12 months. We've had more than 180,000 people complete a reading plan on the Bible app. And we run most of this ministry out of my basement. That's just crazy. Secondly, our podcast. Sherman's been on the podcast. A few other guys in this room have been on that podcast. We call it The Father on Purpose. We've had amazing guests like Sherman, Mark Batterson, Chip Ingram, you name it, Gary Chapman, 5 Love Languages. We've had over 220,000 downloads of the podcast as of last week. That puts us in the top 2.5% of about 4 million podcasts on planet Earth. Number 3, the Iron Circle. If anybody's ever read a book called The Man in the Mirror by Patrick Morley, do we got any Man in the Mirror readers? Yeah, did you read that book? We just launched a partnership with Man in the Mirror, and we rolled out a thing called the Iron Circle. It's helping young men find mentors in their life. And in the first month, we've had 153 guys jump on that train, and just yesterday they called me and wanted to deepen our partnership, leading men's ministry in the country. Let me tell you a little bit about this next part. 6 years ago, we launched a quiz called the Godly Father Assessment. It's a tool that helps dads figure out where are they on their journey to being a godly dad. It's 28 questions. We looked back last year and found out we had 6,000 dads who had taken this survey. Now, if you work in like quant or qual, you know that's a big N number. That's a lot of people who've taken this survey. So we went back and built a report called The State of Biblical Fatherhood. It's an assessment of what's on the mind of most Christian dads in the world. Now, for those of you like Brad and others who've been around the Manhood Journey, Tim, you guys have been around since we started Manhood Journey. 95% of what we've done at this ministry has been for the dad to grab and use the dad. This was the first thing we built that's for the church pastor and for the men's leader at that church. So this was featured on the Gospel Coalition for several days around Father's Day. We got a lot of press for it, but here's what's amazing to me. I met a gentleman in California named John. John saw the report and goes, "Hey man, how much would it take to put that in Spanish?" I gave him a number, tens of thousands of dollars, and he goes, "Done. Nancy and I will pay for it." So we almost had them printed for tonight. Like they're at the printer right this minute. We almost got them done for you. Here's what's wild, right? Across the street from my house, a little boy used to play at a neighbor's house. His name's Hunter Mills. Hunter is standing there. He works for us at Manhood Journey. When John asked me, "Can you get this translated into Spanish?" I thought, well, that's really interesting because Hunter's wife is from Guatemala. She's a first-generation Spanish speaker, and they translated it in about a month into Spanish from soup to nuts. And because God has brought those pieces together, we're going to be able to reach a whole group of Latino and Spanish-speaking churches that we wouldn't have access to, but for one donor and one very clever guy who married a beautiful lady. And thank you guys for your help on that. And here's, and I'm going to run out of time. I got to go faster, but dads in your church or dads in your business are force multipliers. 3rd century Archimedes, the lever, the inclined plane, the pulley, These things give you more action out of them than the energy you put into them. Dads are force multipliers in your community. So when we can animate them in mass, it's great. By the way, you can go next, Hunter. This year, what is it, November 6th? We've had over 450,000 people access our website this year. We still have 7 weeks left in the year, and our previous record high was 330,000. So for the math guys in the room, our web traffic's gonna be up at least 30%, maybe 50%. We may hit 500,000 web users this year, all based on a shoestring budget out of Louisville, Kentucky. That is not to our credit. That is credit to God's favor on this ministry. In fact, here's what's crazy. The very first guy who spoke in the video, I'm Chris, got a young family, sounded like he was from Britain, he's from South Africa. He called me 6 months ago, asked if I would meet with him to talk about the adoption he and his wife Gabe want to do, and we're talking on the phone, and I go, Chris, by the way, what do you do for a living? He goes, I help companies optimize their websites and reach more people. I kid you not. Now Chris is a vendor. He works for Manhood Journey. Here's the slide. In the last 15 years, you can go to the next one, Hunter. We've reached more than 2 million dads with some piece of content. Now I know those are small touches. It's a guy listening to a podcast. We may not have changed his life. But rather than talk about big numbers, here's what I would like to do. I'd like to talk about one number, and it's one dad. I want to tell you just a little bit about a story about a guy named Justin. I got an email on March the 3rd of this year. And it was a pretty long email, and I don't tend to read all those, but it started off with, hey man, your ministry saved my family. And I was like, huh. So I started reading this pretty long email from a guy named Justin. And he started telling me this story about, I'm from California, you don't know me, but about several years ago, we started listening to your content and downloading your tools, and it changed my relationship with my family. And then I thought, man, rather than me tell you Justin's story, why don't we fly him in from California so you can hear from Justin? Please help me welcome Justin McDonald to the stage. So I could tell you all about Justin, but let's let Justin tell you about Justin. Justin, why'd you go looking for resources kind of in the first place? Where were you as a dad 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, so I was always, I was a coach and a teacher in my first life, and then I became an entrepreneur and then a global executive. So I was a leader and a leader of leaders for my whole life. So I thought this fatherhood thing, I'm gonna be pretty good at that. And then about 6 years ago, when my oldest son was 12, I realized I was stinking it up pretty bad. And it was really actually ruining our family and ruining the relationship that I had with this kid. And so I knew that I need some help.
So then what did you get from Manhood Journey? And I think you pieced it together with some other ministries, some resources. What did we provide to you that was useful?
Yeah, so the first thing was Anger-Free Dad, right? So Anger-Free Dad, I was looking for.
Did it make you mad?
I had plenty of anger. So Anger-Free Dad was a course, and what that helped, how that helped free me. You said you teach something in there that your anger is no one else's fault, especially your own son's. And so, I, as a high performer, like I was winning in a lot of areas in life, and so as a high performer, I sort of thought, hey, I should get a pass on this because I'm so good at all these other sorts of things. And teenage and preteen boys, you can butt heads, especially when your firstborn is just like you, right? And so I was all about taking accountability, except in this one thing. And so that was, I think, the biggest thing that unlocked is me taking 100% responsibility, right? And realizing, hey, son, you and I, we got to get better at this, but I got to lead that. And no matter what, let's protect this relationship over all things.
And then you sent me this picture 2 weeks ago, maybe not even. And this is your family. This is your wife. Remind me her name.
Andrea.
And then this is Caleb.
That's Caleb.
And then who are these guys?
That's Graham and Kellen. Yes, 18, 16, 14.
18, 16, 14, okay. And that's them out on the boat. Tell me a little bit about Caleb, and what's Caleb doing now? And then you kind of told me you were pretty shocked that this is kind of where he ended up in terms of what he's doing with his life.
Yeah, kid's a stud. I love him so much. I'm so proud of him. And So it was some hard yards after that. Like we battled. He was about 12, so you do the math. We battled, and it was, like I said, some hard yards. But I had realized I was a father on paper and not a father on purpose. And so I had to go all in. And it was first, I'm a son of God. I am the husband of Andrea, and I am the father of these 3 boys. And then all the other stuff, comes after it. And so anyway, he matured. He graduated a year early from high school, and he went a year ago, and I got to drive him and drop him off in Montana, where he now serves and guides fly fishing for Christian leaders, pastors, nonprofit leaders, etc., at a place called Refuge. And he's been doing that for a year. We finally got to visit him a week ago with the whole family. They got to see it, and I get to pick him up and move him back at the end of the season here in 2 weeks. So I'm just excited to see him again.
Thank you for coming to Louisville and sharing. Let's hear it for Justin McDonald. And now Ross Connect is the king of bad puns, but you just got a chance to see the downstream impact. He leads people on downstream impact. Justin, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing that. I know that's terrible. Here's what I'd like to close with, and then we got 2 more things to do tonight. One is Kevin's gonna help us raise some money, but then the highlight of the night is going to be when you get to hear from Sherman Smith. I can't wait for you to hear Sherman. Ross will do a formal introduction, but I first saw Sherman about 6 years ago at an event called the Fatherhood Commission. And what struck me was, April was there with me, he knows God's word. And he has a crazy story. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, we'll lead some of that out for you tonight. But it's been out for several years. If you don't know it by now, that's on you. It's not on us. But a wild story, amazing story. I can't wait for you to hear from Sherman. Can't wait for you to see Kevin again. But here's what I want to share with you. Where we are headed as a ministry, I'm going to run out of time telling you where we're headed, so I'm just going to go very briefly through 3 things that we plan to do next year. Now, this is resources depending and Lord willing, right? We think we'll get most of these done next year, but not entirely sure. But let me take you through what those are so you can get a glimpse of where we feel like God is taking our ministry. Number 1. I think podcasts are in their infancy in terms of how we use them to deliver information to people. Even though there's some big ones out there, I think they're a delivery vehicle and not a format. Not a format. That's really important. It's really important. It's like the Roman road back in the day, right? How did the gospel spread? On the roads the pagans built. Well, we got an infrastructure that other people have built to take God's word into people's ears. Well, what I would love to do is reclaim the dinner table conversation with podcasts that are precisely 1 minute in length. Dads, you should not bring your iPhone to the table for dinner. However, for 60 seconds, you can bring it. You're gonna bring your phone, you're gonna hit play, and we will tee up a conversation for you to have with your family over dinner that is better than the sports news and the weather. And we can do it for nothing. Like, it is so cheap to push out podcast content, and we can change how America does dinner. So that's 1. Secondly, I'm looking at my friend Jamal. We want to go, one of our sponsors of our podcast is a company called Range Leather. They make amazing leather products. The leader, Kyle Koster, is a committed Christian, loves what we do. We're going to go out to his shop and record a digital course. If you ever go to Laramie, Wyoming, of all places, his shop looks like Santa's workshop and LL Bean had a baby. Like, it's insane. It's insane. He bought the store next door. He doubled his square footage. He started a coffee line. This guy's crazy, entrepreneur. And we want to create a digital course called Handcrafted, where we leverage the concepts of making something by leather. And we want to say, listen, men, dads, you are shaped by God. You're the leather. You're shaped by God, so you can shape your family. And so we have all the content prepared. All we need is some cash to go out there and record this digital course. Third, for the very first time, you get a sneak preview of what's going to become my 5th book. I get asked to speak a lot, and I've been asking lately, can I say whatever I want to say? And they're saying, sure. So when I show up, I talk about identity. And I talk about the fact that there's only one person who gets to speak into your identity. And it's not you, and it's not your wife, and it's not your birth dad, and it's not your high school coach. It's God the Father. It's God the Father. And we have such a crazy identity crisis in our country right now that we want to address that topic specifically from the angle of dads, you have a disproportionate impact on what your children think about their identity. And it's God ordained. He wants you to have it. So let's use it well. So that's a sneak preview. I've got 10 other things I could share with you, just time is against me. But I just want you to know that's kind of where we're headed. We don't want to create fatherhood resources, we want to create a fatherhood revolution. But we need your help to do that. And so many of you have gotten us to where we are. And I just want to close with one phrase. Can I just see the hands in the room? Are you a dad? Can I just see the dads in the room? Just give me your hands. You're not bidding. This is not a bidding. I just want to say one thing to you dads. You are not a father on accident. So go be a father on purpose. Thanks for your time.